So unlike most other marketplaces you may have sold on, or other marketplaces that you buy products from like Amazon or Walmart, one big unique difference behind every other marketplace and is TikTok is all about the content. It's the content that you create or influencers that you hire to create that sells the products. And so the most important piece that you need to understand to be successful when it comes to selling on TikTok is it's all about the content, right? You could have the best product, but if you can't get good content created or make good content yourself, it's never going to sell, right? And so this is an area where a lot of people struggle. Sometimes you don't know what to do, and that's fine. That's why there's influencers that we work with, content creators that are creative people that you can work with to be able to help get content created. Just because they know how to create content, they know how to build up a following, doesn't always mean that they know how to sell products or they don't know how to create content that is going to help sell your product. So, what I would recommend doing before you start to approach creators about creating content is put a list of ideas together of different types of content that you can have created, uh, or different ideas that you could give to the creator and have them choose what they think what they would be best at doing. All right. So like some of the common ones that you see are going to be like unboxing videos, right? An influencer opening up a package, showing off the product. Obviously, then there's also product reviews, them just talking straight up about the product. Um, and both of those work to sell products, but in our personal experience, we found that more lifestyle reviews tend to work better. They have, we found that we have better ability to get that content to go viral. And that sometimes can be a little bit difficult to come up with. Like what type of idea, coming up with ideas for, a lifestyle type review, product review. Um, so what I would recommend doing is I would use a tool like Shop Plus or others out there that are like this. Um, and then what I would do is I would come here and I'd find a store or a brand or a similar type product that's already on TikTok that's selling really well. So I'm just gonna come here, this Grunada company, they, obviously they're selling a lot, $21 million in revenue. They sold 1.1 million units, so clearly they know what they're doing. So let's just pretend that one of your products is a competitor of theirs. So they have this coconut oil pulling uh, product here. So let's just pretend you have a product that you're creating that's a competitor to this, right? So what I would do, especially when you're new, starting out, if you're kind of worried about the content and not really sure how to create it or how to give guidance to influencers, what I would do is I would come here and we can see that when we go to click on the product and come here to relevant videos, we can see all of their videos from influencers that have been posted on TikTok. We can see how much sales revenue they've generated, how many units they've sold, how many views they received, and so on, right? Likes, comments, shares when it was first published. So what I would do is I would spend, quite a bit of time going through here and watching these videos. Pay attention, but pay attention to the content, pay attention to like the hook, right? Like what is it that kind of pulls you in, that kind of hooks you in, that makes you want to buy this product, right? So I would recommend spending quite a bit of time going through, a competitor or possible competitor or, videos of, if you can't find a competitor, videos of products in the same category, right? See what they're talking about, see how the content's created, and see what's selling. Because what you can do is if you find some types of some videos that you think are really good, that are, have a really good hook, and they're, making you, and you feel compelled to purchase that product. What I would do is, once you find influencers to work with, is I would give a link to those different videos to the influencer and say, hey, can you make your version of these videos? Right? And so that will help give them some guidance, some inspiration on how to create the content. So this is just, just another trick or another thing that you can do if you can't come up with something on your own. But it's also good to see like what is successful. Like, to be able to do $488,000 in sales from a single video, obviously there's something special about that. Same with this one. Like, they have this brand in particular, they have tons of videos that are doing over 50,000 in sales, which is a lot. And so, like, spending some time going through all these different videos, you'll learn a lot about content creation. You're going to learn a lot about what works. Um, sometimes it's working with, you know, influencers that don't speak English, right? Like, she's, a Spanish speaker, so that's in Spanish. She only has 173,000 followers, yet this video did $80,000 in sales. So, one of the biggest, things that I would encourage you to do when you're looking for influencers and trying to figure out your content is spend a lot of time reviewing other people's content. Spend a lot of time reviewing your competitors' content. Find what works, because if it works for them, it will most likely work for you too.